and they've been manipulating the statistics, but it's really coming out that number two, they say, are medical deaths, but more so, he believes is number one. The number one killer in this world are medical deaths, and usually the majority of it coming from our pharmaceutical industry. Mm-hmm. And I think that people need to let that set in, because I say that, and Dr. Kant says it, and thousands of other physicians are saying it too, and many other people who are really enlightened to what's going on. But let that settle in, folks. The number one killer in this world is basically pharmaceutical drugs. And when you laugh, when you hear on television all the commercials of when they throwing out a new drug, and you just basically have to wait another 15 minutes of hearing all the side effects of the drug, and you're like, no, God, taking an antidepressant medication can cause suicide. I mean, yeah, isn't that funny how contradictory?
They're like in a meadow,
yeah,
walking around.
Yeah,
they make it look all pleasant as they're telling you the list of all the different side effects.
I know,
could be death.
Yeah, it can be death, right?
Yeah.
And so they put it on air, so it covers their liability, right? But but it's we laugh and joke about it, and then first thing we do is we call up our local drug dealer and say, hey, we want to try this new drug that our television told me to buy, and the third party doctor, without questioning anything, just writes it out and says, here you go. So that is the old traditional medicine, cut and prescribe, and we're going to be talking about that today. And I'm not saying traditional medicine is very important. In fact, we have a great show today. We have actual an MD coming on today, and but at the same time, there's a future. And I'll tell you what we're experiencing now with the number one killer in this world is not our future. That is unfortunately our present, and hopefully soon to be our past. But today we have, so what a great show we have today.
We do have a good show.
I've been really excited about this since I've been on her show.
Yeah, since then you've been raving about it.
I know, and what I love doing is probably more so than actually doing the show. I love researching new folks that I meet and just checking out their background and checking out their sites and checking out who they are and what they do. And I have to say, Dr. Karen Kan really blew my mind of what she's doing and how in sync I am with all that she's doing. And we're going to get into her products and services and what she's offering, which, Jennifer, is going to blow your mind because there's things on here I never even heard of before. That are right up, they're scientifically based and right up her alley too. So
right up your alley too.
Exactly right. So we're going to get into that. We have a great guest, like I said, Dr. Karen Kan, and we're going to be discussing the new spiritual medicine. That is our future. We are moving towards spiritual medicine, and not that traditional medicine, which is cut and prescribe, I say, is going to be totally eliminated, but it will be put in its proper place and utilized at the last resort as necessary. When we're going to move into this proactive, preventative type of healthcare, spiritual healthcare in the future and in the present. We're already doing it. It's integrated healthcare, but we're going to be talking about who our leaders are. And I have to say, we're going to be speaking to a leader who's well ahead of the curve right now. She's incredible. What she's doing is even more so ahead of the curve because functional medicine is just coming in play now, which is they call integrated medicine, right? Integrating functional, holistic, and traditional medicine. But she's 3 steps ahead because she's bringing the spiritual aspect about it, which is, to me, I'm like, God, she's such a pathfinder. She's just amazing. I'm just really excited about today, and you guys are gonna love this. So please stay tuned. Do not disappear. Stay on Facebook, stay on Instagram, and iHeartRadio and everywhere else. So before I do mention her formally and introduce her formally, I would like to mention a few things. I just can't tell you what response we're getting, how big this response is as our Imaginative program, teaching children that their thoughts create their reality, and bringing this SEL, the social emotional learning program, into our schools now. The home schools, the private schools, now even the public schools are embracing this and wanting us to get this trained. And we're launching our first summer program plan today. We just rolled this out a month ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the hottest thing. And it's like, wow, how can this not have been? Why isn't nobody else doing this, on this level? But you're going to why? Because this is an extremely unique program. Very smart, 15 modules, very simple to implement over your typical school classroom indoctrination stuff that really probably not going to use that much. But anyway, I digress. But Jennifer, tell them what's going on.
Well, one of the cool parts we have is we do part of our lessons is beyond the classroom. So we teach kids how important it is to give back.
Right.
So we have them basically do community service within their communities, research what the needs are in their communities, and teach them. And then we dissect it because most kids learn part to whole.
Right.
So we break it down and they do marketing, they do PR, they do communications. We teach them all different skills. And then by the end of it, they have their volunteer project and they go out and give back to the community.
And all in the same process, building these modules up to the one of the most important module is how your thoughts create your reality, how you shift your perception, shift your experience. And it's a step-by-step building on each other process. At the same time, like Jennifer says, getting out and embedding yourself in your community with these projects. It's just a brilliant program. We had Dr. Millhouse assist us with this. Of course, Jennifer, she's the leader, the educator leader in the whole program. I'm just so excited. I know this is going to be such a big hit. So if you guys want to get involved, how can they contact us?
You can email me, jennifer.kramer@unitedintentions.org. You can check out uieducation.org. And you can sign up for our summer program, which is June 26th through the 30th in Roswell, Georgia.
Yes. Okay. And they could always call our office too.
Yes.
What's the phone number here?
678-495-4345.
In the meantime, go on our website, how to help. This program is going to live and die by your donations and what you guys can do out there in the community if you want this into your school system. So get on there, help us. The money's going towards building not only this platform for rolling the program out, also an online platform.
Yes, so then we can just go global with it.
Global with it, right? Okay, so it's hot. All right. With that being said, let me get to the good stuff. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention was download our UI app, right?
Right.
If they want to listen to all our shows, and we have maybe a little surprise. I don't know if I should mention about syndication yet, but we'll talk about it later on. Thank you. And download our app. Go to your app store and it's UI Radio Network.
That's right.
UI Radio Network. It's free. Download it. Now you can listen to all our shows, and you can be able to listen to Dr. Can shows in the future here.
Yeah, you can watch them live or on demand.
Exactly right. Or live or on demand. Exactly right. Because we're on FM Fringe now too.
That is
live feeding, right?
Yeah.
Hello out there to the boys out there in FM Fringe. All right. So, what do we have here? This is I don't even want to read her bio because it's just so amazing, really, and it's so advanced. Dr. Karen Can is an empath, Earth Angel, and I'll tell you what she really is, and a holistic physician specializing in spiritual medicine. She employs the integration of mind, body, spirit in healing and spiritual evolution through the process of healing her own debilitating illness. Dr. Karen discovered that the journey can be both challenging and rewarding, as the soul is always moving closer and closer to source. Her passion is empowering Earth Angels, people like you, Jesse, right? Me and everyone else. Earth Angels, star seeds, and indigos, which we'll talk about. Pretty neat indigos, right? You heard of that before, right, Jesse?
Oh, yeah.
To discover their innate gifts and healing abilities to open the doorway for them to connect with their soul's mission. Her empathic specialty is sensing and clearing dark spirit influences from her patients and clients from all timeliness and dimensions.
Yeah, right.
That
is
is our future. More I get involved, the more I realize we have these negative entities attaching to us because we're living in a limited frequency. We can only see through our five senses, but there's these entities that are attaching, these negative entities that are basically lowering our vibration, and she has the ability to see them and detach them from you
and give us a good light score
and give us a great light score. Yeah. 98, baby, take that to the bank, right? All right. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. She perceives as part of a universal cleansing, working with the archangels, ascended masters, and other light beings. This is why I'm saying this is our future of our healthcare. This is the aspect of when we talk about later on about how everything's emotionally and thought driven, and then it's manifested in a physiological form, all our ailments and things like that. Light beings. Dr. Karen is often commissioned by Mother Earth to heal entities and their influences on a galactic scale. You can reach. Dr. Karen Can, MD, at KarenCan.com, KarenCan.com. She's also author of Guide to Healing Chronic Pain, a Holistic Approach. And that's a great book. I wish I had it here. I'd show everybody. Maybe you could show everybody if you have it there where you are, Karen. So without further ado, welcome Dr. Karen Can. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much. What a great intro. You guys are doing amazing work, the educational stuff. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, so are we. It's just how you really shift and change. It's a crisis of perception. Everything out there, in my opinion, it's all a crisis of perception. And so, if we could learn how to shift our perception, we could shift what we experience. And I don't care what perceived negative reality we are experiencing, how many negative entities we have attaching to us, or how many horrible things that are going on with the cabal or whatever is going on out in the world. We could change it by understanding our power of our intentions and shifting it through our perceptions. Right. So.
Absolutely.
Wow, you are a very, very busy bee. Busy bee. You have done so much. I want to get into a little bit, of course, past what you've done, but if you don't mind, I just want to jump into when did you come out of the closet? When did you come as an MD? When did you come out of the closet and start really sharing your spiritual gifts here? Because most MDs are scared to death of doing it. Like Dr. Brian Weiss, who MD, who wrote Many Lives, Many Masters. He would have been ostracized. He said he was ostracized from his the physician community back then. That was what, in the 80s.
Yeah.
He came out talking
Right.
about past lives and how he and people would slip into that. But you came out swinging. When did you come out?
That's a great way of putting it. Well, I think it was a somewhat of a progression, but thanks to other thought leaders, and one of them is my mentor and friend, Dr. Bradley Nelson, author of the Emotion Code and the Body Code. And I went to his Body Code 2.0 seminar, where it was the first time they publicly taught about entities, and he shared with us the background of his family and run-ins with entities, which was fascinating stories. And at that point, it was like something clicked, with me, like, oh my gosh, this is something I've been missing. There were some patients that maybe 5 or 8% that no matter what I did, no matter how hard we tried, they couldn't get better. And it's almost like someone was sabotaging them. And it was frustrating for them. It was frustrating for me, and I didn't know what to do with them. And now, given that skill set of being able to test for entities, I was like, wow, this has really opened up. And so because it's already in the body code, I had a model, and I kind of leapt from there, and I ended up discovering all different types of entities and how they interact. And I really didn't have a lot of help because I went a lot deeper than what was in the body code. But I did find one person. Actually, she found me. She just is the daughter of one of the medical doctors, and he's fantastic medical doctor at Mount Shasta, California, Dr. Davis, Stephen Davis. We're talking like back in the day where people didn't believe in Lyme and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff, and he was there, like he was cutting edge, the nicest man you'd ever want to meet. And his daughter just reached out to me and says, well, I'm an energy healer, and I was told by God that I need to talk to you. It's like, okay, at that point. And she says, is there anything that's interesting to you that you want to ask me? And I said, yeah. So I thought I'd test her. I said,
Yeah.
do you know very much about entities? And she goes, oh, yes, it's my favorite topic. So we became fast friends, and I started emailing her and texting her like, okay, this is what I'm finding. Am I crazy or what? And she goes, no, no, yeah, that's correct. And it's so because she's more clairvoyant than I am. Like she
Right.
can, see. It took about 10 years, but she can actually physically see with her physical eyes the entities, and I just basically sense and test them with my body senses, but I don't see them yet.
Right.
So that was,
Yeah.
and after, I mean, I got an introduction to say, hey, would you like to be part of this teleseminar series? People are really into entities. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? Because I never really heard about, a lot of people. It says, yeah, we're the only telesummit series that actually gives, some
Credibility to it. Yeah.
acknowledgement and
Yeah.
validation
Yeah.
for entities. And it's a big problem. If you're an expert, we need you. So I launched on From Heartache to Joy October 3rd of last year, 2016, and it's been kind of a big explosion of popularity, and I have a whole ton of hundreds and hundreds of students now from around the world, and it's wonderful. We call us the Light Warrior Group.
Well, I can see that, and how amazing too, because it is a freeing, isn't it? Because I assume that you spent years and years of, I mean, getting your MD medical the doc. That's a big commitment, a lot of money commitment, and traditional medicine. It's a big commitment, and to finally to come out and say, you know what, because even though you strongly believe in this, and of course, and many other more people are coming out more than ever before, but you believe in this. Still, was there any hesitation when your first time you went public or wrote something publicly, that wow, maybe I'm jeopardizing my fallback plan.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah,
for sure. I
right. Yeah.
remember when I interviewed with the coach, Aram, part of From Product to Joy, and she says, "Well, you're going to need some stories." And I said, "Well, I'm a medical doctor. We don't tell those stories in public." And because of HIPAA and all this kind
Yeah.
of stuff, I said, I can't get it from my patients. It's not appropriate. She says, well, you could do, some free sessions or, pick people who'd be willing to share. And that was my, that spiritual growth piece. I really had to understand that I was protected, and that it would be okay. And so it was a leap of faith for me to do that. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. But then now I'm like, oh, okay, nothing bad happened. That's awesome. And my friend Tamara, who was telling you before, who's an entity expert, she says, she keeps calling me the anointed one. It's so funny. She's
I
like,
could see
you
that.
are the anointed one. She says, you are completely protected. They keep telling, because she hears them too, the angels and everything. She's like, they keep telling me to tell you that you're protected. You are the anointed one. You are supported. You are safe. So I think that really helped me a lot to be able to, you know, just
Come
say
out of the
the
closet.
truth and and just see what happens.
Well, I'm sure you had some family support too, and of course it's your belief, and at the same time, what I love about what I'm doing too, and of course not on the level that you are, but it is amazing, isn't it, how you're still growing, and like where before you might have seen that you were probably plateaued out, but here you're in an environment where you're going to be growing as well as growing and helping other people. It's like a zero sum game here, isn't it?
Well, the growing part, well, I think that my personality's always been like that. In
Yeah.
fact, one of my yoga friends, Baxter Bell, he's a future author of Yoga for Aging. He used to say to me, because I was like, I want to be a better person, and I keep saying things like that. And he looks at me, being, I wasn't into yoga at that point. He looks at me, and goes, "Well, what's wrong with you right now?" Nothing. He goes, well, why do you have to be better? And it really, I had to question it
Yeah.
because I was so into always growing, always, and I never really acknowledged how far I'd come and never really acknowledged. So for those of you out there who are like constant perfectionists and want to get better and better, acknowledge and love who you are right now. And at the same time, realize that we're always growing. Yeah. If the plant's not growing, what is it doing? It's dying, right?
Exactly. Well, I just when you breach this concept of, and I say some people are more comfortable saying demonic entities attaching themselves to you. I like negative entities. I think it's more objective, but uh, people are so easy to believe. Doesn't matter what religion they come from. They're so much easier to believe that there are these demons out there. But God forbid we ever think that these negative entities could be attached to us or close to us or influencing us from another frequency. If we bring a little quantum science into this, people kind of like, oh, I don't believe that. But I do believe it, the devil and the demons, and if you lose, So to me, it's kind of using the right language to reach somebody on this issue. But what I also find is what's interesting is some people are more likely to believe in these demonic entities that are around us, right? But yet they can't see that there are positive entities around us too, or they can't acknowledge that, and maybe you could distinguish between a positive entity and a negative entity, and maybe the positive entities are not so much in our face all the time. Maybe they're more cooler, laid back, see how things are going, how are you feeling, I'm there if you need me, right? Where the other ones are more like feeding off of our fears and stuff. But maybe you could describe how the process works a little bit.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I know it's hard for us to, I think in general, until, people and groups like yourself are really educating people that our thoughts are something. It's actually a thing,
It's a
and
physical
we
property,
actually
yeah.
get to create from this thing that's unseen. So the unseen world is pretty much ignored for, the masses. And yes, there are, so-called good spirits, and then there are so-called bad spirits. And I always like to put them in quotes because for me, my perception is that source created all, and we are here to evolve, and so they are here for our evolution, and vice versa. So instead of being fearful of entities, because entities do negative entities do things that positive entities have a code against, and that is interfering. So they
The
don't
prime
care.
directive, Star Trek, once
Right, that's
again,
right. There's
bam.
no prime directive. And so negative entities will suck energy. They will do whatever it takes that they're told to do. Some of them to try to sabotage you. Um, try to create chaos, try to keep you in a lower vibrational state. Whereas higher entities, or the angels, the archangels, ascended master beings, they are, and there are light beings that are from other worlds that are here to help, but they don't get to help unless you ask for help, because they have that prime directive. They are not allowed to interfere. They can whisper in your ear, they can guide, they can give suggestions through your dreams, even through television, through radio, something you read, like little hints. But if you're not paying attention and you're not open to it, they can't force it down your throat. They can't force a healing on you. You have to ask for it. So that's the major difference between the two. And the negative entities, even though people can get really fearful because of what we've seen on TV, it's kind of a control tactic.
Yeah.
And some entities, they do look scary to those people that are clairvoyant. And some of it's because that's how they feel about themselves. They can make themselves look whatever they want.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can make themselves look like angels too, the smart ones anyway.
Yeah.
So people will listen to them. And with my light scoring system that Source helped co-create with me, basically we connect to Source, and then we just ask, what is the light score of this being? And if you get a high light score, like in the 90s, you guys are like 98, which is amazing
98.
as an organization,
And we're not,
because I don't meet many like that.
and we're not even under
That's-
your umbrella of protection yet. Well, maybe you are now.
Well,
but-
you are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're like 110, I think.
Right. We just got extra credit.
Well, so many people are opening up their clairvoyance and their spiritual gifts now more than ever because of this increasing vibration of the whole world. So for those that are not prepared, it can be kind of scary to suddenly be able to see these shadows and these entities or these beings that can freak them out. Sometimes they're seeing it from other timelines because the dimensions are kind of like, there's many movies that talk about it, like the convergence and, seeing different worlds at the same time, like Flash, one of my favorite TV shows. They talk about the multiverse all the time.
Right.
Fringe, another one.
I
talk
love
about the
Fringe.
multiverse.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I get a lot of information from TV. Thank you very much, God.
Yeah, like
can
and
make more sense out of it.
and most people kind of when they think about these negative entities or demons, they refer back to like movies like The Exorcist or Damien
Yes,
or whatever.
that's right.
And and there's some validity to that. I mean, I think people are waking up to like a reality of how we're manifesting a lot of these things in our reality now. They're just not in the other frequency. We're bringing them into our frequency to some degree, or a lot of people are. Our collective consciousness is to some degree, and maybe I don't know. And we can speak to. I don't speak to it now. I have so many other questions to you, but it is a fascinating topic. How a lot of people are manifesting this and are becoming aware of it. And it is initially scary. It is initially fear-based, but if it's in our collective reality, it's our reality. And if we don't address it, if we ignore it, then I think we're not doing our reality justice. And as Eckhart Tolle said, when you're faced with a perceived negative reality, you have three choices. You leave it if you can, you change it if you can, or you accept it. Nowhere in there he says that you actually stick your head in the sand and pretend like it's not happening. And I call that denial-based positive thinking, and so does Teal Swan. But one of the things I wanted to mention real quick here, and we'll jump into some more stuff that you're doing, because we could spend a whole show just talking about these entities. And trust me, maybe we'll have another one in the future on that, because you're the anointed one on it. And I'll tell you what, I could only learn so much, and I could learn from you, which would be wonderful. Teal Swan says that. I don't know if you know who she is or not, but she says, because she has that extra sensory skill set, let's say, and she says if we could learn to love our demons, or learn to love those entities and feel sorry for them, because you said, just think they're like what's that movie with the guy who thinks he's really ugly looking, the Beast, what is that, something in the Beast,
Beauty and the
Beauty and the
Beast,
Beast,
or
yeah, Beauty and the Beast,
Yeah.
and also the other guy,
The guy with the weird face?
yeah.
Yeah, I forgot the name.
Anyway,
Yeah, I know what you're talking
so
about.
point is that it's a self-perceived belief of them, because they have just been beaten down, never had a chance to connect with source and understand the vibration of love, or it was lost to them, whatever degree, or they signed a contract with this devil, if you say, and they feel like they have to honor that and not really get connected back to source. So they turn into this ugly being, this the Emperor, like in Star Wars, they turn into the Emperor, right, or Darth Vader, and so. If you look at it from that perspective, it does two things for you. For me, it does. One, it brings empathy from me to this dark demon entity that's doing a lot of damage and destruction in this three-dimensional world, via directly or indirectly. But two, it makes me I'm less fearful of that. When I see that entity or whatever, I feel more compassion for them and then fear. And so I'm rising on that vibration where it's more of a love vibration than it is a fear. So um, they can't suck that energy. Like they're fear energy. They're vampires, aren't they? In the sense they suck
Right.
the energetic the energy from you. So if you're not giving them energy through fear, then you're giving them more love through compassion. Then they're not going to they're not going to attach to you, and then that's when you become protected. It's not somebody out there just protecting you only, but it's really you protect yourself by raising your frequency and your vibration, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. I often say to my students, we need to love them into the light.
Yes.
They're like children, like the lost boys who never had parents,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so they only know what they know, and many of them, like some of I call them regular demons because there's other different types of demons, but the regular demons, they're oftentimes under like almost whip and chain. They have cords and things attaching them to the dark angels who are lording over them, telling them what to do. And the fascinating thing for me, like, I mean, nothing ever surprises me until it surprises me again, is that there have been some instances where angels have brought demons or ghosts to me, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I don't really want them here. And they're like, no, 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 we want you to help them. And I was like, okay. Like, this was at the beginning. It was very strange for me because I'm thinking I'm just going to get rid of them.
Yeah.
But what it was that the whole learning for me was that I was supposed to learn that sometimes they need help too. And some of them are really tired of doing their jobs and they're like hearing through the grapevine, you don't have to be a demon anymore. Really? And so they get word
Have
that
you
they don't
changed
have to. And
jobs?
sometimes
Yeah.
they'll seek some of us out for help, to unbind them.
Yeah.
In the old days in energy healing, and some people still do it the old way, 30 years
Exorcisms.
back we did it this way. We would, I didn't do it, but other healing professions, they would bind them and they would lock them away and, things like that. But if you had a child that you long lost child, would you really want to do that? You would want to love them. You would want to nurture them. You would want to, feed them healthy food, teach them away, give them more love and attention, not less. So you're absolutely right. That's a wonderful way to release the fear around it. And just if you can see them as your own children, but just lost, then it's a lot easier to love them.
Because it's a win-win situation all the way around, because one, you're not bound by them because there's no more fear, at least in that sense, and you're to help. Now, one thing I say, when you have these extrasensual gifts like you do, and you've been developing yours, and it sounds like you're going to be developing yours. Lost a little. Okay, you're going to be developing yours to the point where you can be starting to see these entities, not just feel them. Because you said yet earlier, and I'm like, well, see, there she's in the growth pad. She knows she's going to be seeing them soon too, and so when you get to that point, people who perhaps aren't to that point, even to your point right now of understanding and feeling them, you don't have to perhaps embrace them at this point, but you can detach them if you want, or acknowledge them around you and detach them by stop feeding and giving them that energy. And what are the ways? I know we keep talking about this. There's so much more I want to talk to. We'll have to hold. Can you hold over just a little bit longer later on, or you have to like rush out of here? All right, okay. She's like, I gotta rush out of here, but I'll be nice and say yeah. Um, is is that what are some of the ways that you can actually identify certain types of entities, what they're feeding off on you? Are they feeding off on your addiction, feeding off on the sex, feeding off on you on the anger? I mean, there's should be ways that you could identify that, or because I know you do that, but are there any ways that the common person who doesn't have this extra sensory gift can identify that?
Well, there's a lot of symptoms that are very common if entities are interfering. And sometimes they interfere because there's something within that person that's a low vibration that they're resonating with. So it almost gives them permission to, interfere or attach. For example, some things like, we won't even know about, like, a vow or a contract and another timeline with an entity or your ancestor. And, the ancestor had no idea that every single child or male child or whatever on that side of the family was now going to have that contract too, things like that. But there are symptoms that are kind of pathognomonic for entity attachments and sometimes entity interference. Um, sometimes they're able to interfere because you have negative vibrations like emotions or vows or contracts that are not yet healed, or beliefs, negative beliefs like I am worthless is a good one. They like that one. Or it could be that you're a really, really good person and they want to thwart you because they have an assignment to stop this person because they are so powerful. If they figure out they're powerful, they're in big trouble. So they try to stop you, and those folks tend to be healer type folks that are naturally into healing, and they usually get the dark angels on them because the dark angels are much more intelligent and powerful. And if I know somebody's got a bunch of dark angels around them, I know that they must be important. But some of the symptoms are like nightmares, or people like, afraid. They wake up scared, or things lunging at them at night. They're often trying to scare you. So at nighttime, people can be susceptible. So I have certain things that I do and teach my students on how to clear their sleep realms, how to use my tools to clear them. The other thing too is sudden, mood shifts, and a lot of our children are very sensitive now. The indigos, the earth angels, crystal children, very sensitive. So the crystals tend to be very, very sweet and loving, and so they're a little bit less susceptible. But I do find the indigos are, because they're so sensitive, they're high risk of addiction, because if things are uncomfortable for them because they feel other people's stuff, they'll actually use sugar or beer or alcohol or pot or whatever it is to drown out that. So the entities, ghosts generally really love addictions. Some of the ghosts just hang around to get a hit. They're generally not as harmful, but they still can be harmful if they're attached, because they can suck energy. And then if you have energy sucked, then you're not as healthy. We've had stories of people, this is from my friend Tamara, where someone was losing their hair, and then she had found that there was an old, little old man who had died and attached to this person. And once she, healed this ghost, then the hair grew back, because the little old man had no hair as well. And then once the ghost was detached, then that person was able to grow their own hair. So they can affect your physiology. So the nightmare, sometimes the mood swings, pain that doesn't go away, sudden inexplicable pain that is like, literally people are like, oh, I feel like someone stabbed me in the back. Well, you know what? It might be true. It might be an energy weapon that you have in your back. And it's amazing, because when you find those and you just remove those, or you remove the curse, it's like instantaneously the person feels better.
Wow. It's like
and that's the other way you know.
That's amazing. We're going to take a quick break, Doctor, and when we get back, let's switch into. I like to talk about how to pick a doctor today, because you are the future of our physicians, and I like to talk about what do we need to be looking for today if we really are moving in that direction. Okay, we'll be right back with Dr. Karen Kan, author of the Guide to Healing Chronic Pain and Holistic Approach, and you can reach her at KarenKan.com, KAN.com. We'll be right back. We are back with Dr. Karen Kan, and we're discussing, everything, the new future of spiritual medicine and what it looks like, and what I'm curious about, because
the future of medicine.
Future of medicine. Well, it's the present, and I want to be more present. I want it now. Now.
Well, it's happening now.
It is happening now. Well, thank goodness to people like Dr. Kan.
Yeah.
All right.
Dr.
So
Can do.
Dr. Can do. I love that. We have one of our regular guests, Dr. Sam Mikulski, and he says, Tim, when you're looking for a doctor, first find out, are they fit? Are they healthy? Do they look healthy? Are they kept, screen that way initially before you start going to somebody. And I'm like, I never thought of that before, because every time I imagine a doctor, this older man who's, usually overweight, crept over and, doing certain things, but
Let me give you some pills.
but what do you like when you look for a doctor? When you recommend people are looking for a doctor, not just physically, of course, I'm just playing with that, but also, skill set. And I know, depending on what the reason is, but say a general practitioner, let's say, for example.
Well, one of my colleagues, Dr. Eldon Taylor, is a PhD, did this really interesting study about cancer, and these people were terminally ill, so they were basically sent home to die. And him using his subliminal technique, they actually did a study with, they polled the doctors, they polled the patients, they gave the patients something to listen to with subliminal messages about wellness and things like that. huge proportion of them actually survived, and they weren't expected to. There are a few that died right away that, didn't work on, but of the ones that survived, it was very interesting because when they polled both the doctor and the patient, and they both agreed that the mind had something to do with their health and wellness, they all survived. All those patients survived. Now, here's the sad news. Those patients that believed that the mind had something to do with their health, but their doctors did not believe that, they died.
Wow.
So the number one thing I would say, I would have been different before hearing this, but the number one thing I would say is you need to pick someone who believes that you can be well and be healthy
The
and
power of
can
your
picture you
intentions.
healthy.
Doctor believes in the power of your
Yeah.
intentions. Yeah.
And I have to be honest, I mean, before I understood all the stuff about intention and things like that, sometimes, certain patients very difficult ones would be in that room, and I'd look at the chart and go, like, they're hopeless,
Yeah.
but once I realized that they can feel my intention, they can read it even without me saying anything, I thought, oh my goodness, I feel naked, so I would see, like, no, I see them healthy, and I would see them healthy in my mind. I would see them happy, even if they couldn't do it, because that authority, that whole authority energy is so important that you would have to have a really, really super strong, empowered person who is a non-doctor to be in a room with a doctor, to be able to, like, counteract that negative belief. And that's why our cancer treatments are still making billions of dollars, because I can't tell you, and some of them are very sad stories. They want to get better. They want to get better naturally, but the minute they step into that room with the oncologist, they get convinced they have to take this toxic medicine. They tell me they don't want to, and I'm like, I'm not there with them, holding their hand in their appointment to vouch for them, to be by their side, and they're not strong enough to say no, because they will scare you into taking the medicine, whether they mean to do it or not, but they're really good at it.
Yeah.
So, and if you say you don't want to see them anymore, and they, it's sort of like, you're going to die if you don't get this medicine. And so you get scared into doing whatever they want. So you need to pick someone who believes in you, who believes that you can heal. And I think that whatever you just said, I have always told people, I said, look at that person's life and who they are. Are they vibrant? Do they have a good mood? Like, do you feel good around them? Do they have a good energy? I used to say, if certainly if they're perfectly healthy, go for that person. But I realized, I'm not perfectly healthy or symptom free. I understand a lot of it's due to my sensitivity and the needs for source to sometimes communicate to me through my body, which is uncomfortable. But the idea is that I'm not giving up on me, and I have a good attitude about it. So even if someone is not perfectly healthy, but they have that vibe, that good vibe, and they believe that you're well, then that's the person you want to pick. They have what you want.
Well, it's brilliant stuff, and great criteria, because now these days doctors are losing a lot of credibility out there. I think they're becoming dinosaurs if they really don't start looking at things like like you're doing, doctor, and realizing that that is our future. What the old style traditional medicine is our past. And they're going to become a library. They're going to become a train, and they'll have one little purpose, and that is when there's a serious cut and prescribe moment, and everyone has them in their time in life. You have to have that's going to limit their growth as a physician, as a healer, because they're only going to be able to focus on one little area. And in time, it probably won't even be that. But so I'm glad you mentioned that as well. And how do you educate your client, your patients, in reference to how everything starts out as, from every ailment we have starts out as thought or emotional beginning phases of. Do you believe that? And two, how do you educate your patients on that?
Well, actually, I actually created a little video that's actually free on my website, KarenCan.com. There's a little pop that says, watch this video, discover your healing type, where I describe in simple terms how energy creates everything, meaning that even in ancient Chinese medicine culture, now I'm not an expert in Chinese medicine, although I'm Chinese, and I do acupuncture, but I'm not an expert in Chinese medicine. The understanding is that long before someone gets a disease or is ill, there are imbalances in energy. In the chi, in the flow of energy in the body, there's either stuck energy or not enough energy. And then from my spiritual medicine background, then there are a gamut of spiritual, energetic reasons for this problem. Sometimes it's, obvious, like there's a physical trauma, but underneath that physical trauma, there might be another reason for the physical trauma. Was it because, you needed this physical trauma to do your soul's mission, and therefore that event was actually a high light score event because you actually needed that, or that, and that was part of who you need to become? Or was this entities interfering, which caused you to trip down the stairs and you got a physical trauma because of entities or something like that? So for me, there's like a spiritual reason often under not aligning even the energetic reasons. And we found things like talking about thoughts and emotions, absolutely, they do manifest things energetically and create blocks, emotions, huge blocks in the flow of energy and depletion of energy. And I've actually found what I call thought projections. Sometimes I get these words because I'm thinking about it, and then sources like, you mean this? So, thought projections from, say, extraterrestrials who are sometimes doing research or experiments, or sometimes malevolent because they have entities attached to them. And so they'll actually put little instruments in us, or they'll actually beam out thought. Sometimes they'll piggyback them. I've had them piggyback on cell towers, cell phone signals, TV signals, radio. I mean, everything I find, I'm like, okay, we're protecting that too, and as best as we can. And other devices where they can actually beam out something, and that'll make everybody depressed, unless you have your universal shield is up and you have high vitality and you can thwart it. And then you're wondering why everybody's so upset except you, like what's going on. Sometimes
happy.
I don't catch, sometimes I don't catch them until I see several people in a row with similar symptoms. And then I know to ask the bigger picture, okay, what's going on? What's really causing this? So it may not even be their stuff. I mean, it may be, like, I've seen thought projections of, I am powerless, or God doesn't exist. It's amazing the certain beliefs that will be beamed out to people. And then what we do is we just pull it out. We just pull out that thought and then replace it with a positive or empowering thought.
Wow.
And if they have a device in them that's projecting it or creating, then we energetically pull and erase that device as well. So it's amazing what you can do on the spiritual realm in terms of healing. Your thoughts are so powerful. One of the things, this is perfect for you guys, manifesting the weather. I mean, I love doing that. Not all the time, because it's just sometimes Mother Nature needs to do what Mother Nature does. But if someone's in trouble and I get called to help, we've Hurricane Patricia, October 2016, hit landfall already. By the time I heard about her Friday night, I had a costume, I think Halloween party to go the next day. So 8 p.m. it's date night and I'm looking on the email and going, oh, there's a hurricane, it's going to hit. And I'm thinking, well, maybe we should do something about it. So I'm like emailing my, or Facebooking my light warriors and saying, okay, guys, we need some weather magic. Here's what's going on. Just do whatever you think you need to do. I will do what I do. Don't tell me what you're doing. Just, I'm going to do my thing. You do your thing, and let's get rid of this hurricane. So we each did our own thing. And, within 12 hours, it just turned into rain. All the winds died down, and they didn't get any of the damage or the deaths that they had predicted in that poor part of Mexico. And it's right there. And of course, the media is like, that's boring. Okay, let's move on. It was hard to find anything written about the hurricane just suddenly from the 215 mile per hour to hardly anything in 12 hours. You couldn't find too much to read about it. So that's how powerful we are. So I love sharing that with my students, because then they can practice that. Like, I've had people manifest good weather for their daughter's wedding, or their weekend out, or whatever it is, or wildfires. Sometimes it takes a little practice. It's not like you can make suddenly rain in a desert area necessarily. That's pretty tough, but at least firefighters can get in. You can get rid of the wind. We actually did some work on Hurricane Matthew as well. Matthew was in a path where it was sort of like, let's see, if we made him go this way, that's not good. If we made him go this way, that's not great either. So we're like, well, we'll just whatever's best. So it's not that there wasn't any damage done, but there were light warriors that were in my group that basically were supposed to be under 8 feet of water, and she said it missed us. The eye turned into 2 eyes and went right around us. It was amazing.
Two things, Jesse. One, we had to, and Dr. Karen, we had to get you to create a group on our website, because we could reach so many other people around the world to do these, and like you say, and you could call it Light Warriors. Light Warriors group. People sign up, and then you give, hey, we're trying to heal this area here, and then people come in and create intentions, and they can start sharing. We need to do that. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, Is it the weather manipulation is so much easier because we're dealing with the water molecules? Because I know if you hey, guys, you got to go to her site, KarenKan.com. It's KarenKan.com. It's an incredible site, and go to under product and services, I think it's called, and you have things on here I never even heard of before, like aquaware, aerobotics. Can you talk a little about, is the aquaware is where you actually do intention through water, like the Japanese monk did? How does that work?
Masaru Emoto.
Yes,
Yeah,
Master.
so Peter Shank is a friend of mine and a very talented energy healer, and he's also a computer whiz, which is very awesome. So he found a way using Fibonacci sequences and numbers to be able to translate intentions into a computer program, which is like binary, right? One and zeros, to be able to translate them. So he actually imparts frequencies into water, and those programs are really like the source is a manifesting program. Aquaware is a specific intention program. You charge water, and water is a wonderful media to carry energy, which is so important. Why we need to hydrate enough for energy healing to occur.
And take the fluoride out.
Well, you can neutralize that, with some of these programs. So I do it a different way. So my, healing programs have intentions in them, and then I've made it so that my students can then also, take, like, for example, my Ascension 1 or 2, and then use that to piggyback whatever their intention is, and that my program will do the work for you. But Peter's stuff is really awesome, especially for those that, there's like 1,000 intentions on Aquaware. And actually, I think there's like a third of them that I asked for. I said, Peter, can you put this in? Can you put this in? Can you put this in? Removing this weapon and that weapon, and so I've made lots of great formulas with it, and so some of the companies that I really like and enjoy and use myself, I kind of post there to just say, hey, these are what I use, like Biotics, for example, probiotics that you spray on objects or in the air, and that helps to remove the biofilm, all the quote unquote dead bodies of all the bugs, that you've, don't need on your cutting board or in the bathroom. I spray it on my dog beds and my toothbrush, my hairbrush, things that you can't wash, like your couch, things like that. It's pretty neat. So I kind of love cutting edge stuff.
Oh, that is so cutting edge. That is so cutting edge.
I'm constantly, appreciating all these wonderful people who create wonderful things for us.
Okay, and also now talk about too, if again you go under products, I think it's on her site, KarenKan.com, and you also talk about EMF protection. Can you share a little bit about what you do with that? Because to me, we're having a show on EMF, I think next week, aren't we?
Yeah, with Dr.
Sam,
Karski.
right? Karski. And so you actually have products to deal with this type of stuff. So please tell us about it.
Well, there are some really wonderful companies out there who are able to manipulate so-called the lower vibrational energies of electromagnetic stress, for our bodies.
Yeah.
And EarthCom, for example, their company actually helps to ground it to Mother Earth. So you actually can have a device on your cell phone and it'll help ground some of that negative energy, and sometimes even create a nice little cloud of protection around you. So it's actually safer to have your phone on than off, believe it or not, when you're around other people with other phones, because it'll create that little bubble for you. And then Energy Tools International, a wonderful, wonderful company. Yuri is an amazing, you should definitely interview him, although he's Russian, so it's really hard to hear sometimes, but
we'll get a
translator. He's got a thick Russian accent, and he's made incredible, energetics. He takes the subtle energy of something and able to infuse it into anything, into plastic, into T-shirts. I mean, it's amazing. And so they have, and you use, they spent $30,000 testing this with Dr. Jeffrey Fannin. Theirs actually prevents this brain imbalance or brain heating, when you use the cell phone. Then there's like earthing sheets that we talk about in my book, because when someone has chronic pain or chronic fatigue, a lot of times their body systems are already offline. They're not really working very well. So the last thing you need is something else draining your energy. I've gotten to the point, I used to be so sensitive to cell phones and equipment. Like I'd be sitting there with someone with a cell phone, and after about 5 minutes, I'd be like melting because I would just feel the stuff
It's the radiation. It's the radiation from the cell phone.
It's radiation. It's microwaves. But we have been able to neutralize those. We can actually take, this is thanks to the Body Code 2.0, I learned this. You can actually take those frequencies out of someone if someone's been damaged. Of course, you have to build their chi up, their energy up. But I am so much less sensitive to that regular kind of stuff. I mean, the
Yeah.
stuff that I get affected from is usually humongous, like
Right.
worldwide.
Yeah.
But still, but I used to be so sensitive to earthquakes and tsunamis and hurricanes. I could tell you that there was an earthquake going on the other half of the world. So those microwave frequencies are not good for us. But at the same time, instead of like going, oh, it's too much to avoid. I got to avoid GMO foods. I can't use my cell phone, blah, blah, blah. We can actually go, well, wait a second. Why don't we reprogram our physical bodies to be able to tolerate those things? And yeah, we don't want to encourage, bad things to be made. You don't want to buy GMO foods if you have another option. So we can be, proactive and putting money into companies we believe in, but at the same time, you can actually neutralize a lot of that negative energy. So we use my Ascension tools, for example. They are MP3s with embedded infusions of energy, and we can direct it with our minds to the target. So you can clear a house of ghosts just by directing my Ascension 1 to that home and everything around it. And it's a heck of a lot easier than the old-fashioned way of doing exorcisms.
Yeah. and its science supports it too, which is interesting as well, and it's just, this is not just woo-woo stuff. I mean, there's actually science based, like, especially with EMFs. There's science what's going on and how you could actually direct it. And through your intentions and through these programs that Dr. Can's talking about, you could actually do that. Like, there's other thing I want you to mention real quick. I have a little more time. The photo genie, the photon genie. What does the photon genie do?
Yeah, the photon genie is a very interesting device, and that helps someone get their chi or energy back. So it helps to build energy in your body. Also increases oxygenation in the body as well. It naturally actually resonates like if someone's got parasites, bacteria, Lyme, we use it for Lyme quite a bit. What it does is it counteracts those frequencies and it raises it to a higher vibration. Also gives you the higher vibrations of grounding and the moon and the sun and other positive vibrations. And there's a multitude of things in there that it does. It's funny because you smell a little bit like ozone afterwards because the oxygen's increased there. And people use it for cancer therapy support, any chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue, Lyme, chronic illnesses. Some people have had some really great success with that. And I know on their site, they've actually had some people swear that, cured their cancer, which is pretty amazing. But of course, you're not allowed to say that, right? In the United States, that something natural cures cancer. Heaven forbid it's not a drug.
Yeah, I know. And it's scary because there's real life consequences of some of these actions people are doing now, and so people have to play smart and at least, or at least be protected by certain light energies for that reason too, because you have a lot of holistic doctors not here anymore because they've been trying to do healing things for people, right? So you got to go to her website. It's KarenCan.com. It's like a candy shop for it's like a Willy Wonka holistic factory for people who haven't seen different things. And it really is. And one thing I want to mention on that is the Source 5. Explain that, the Source 5 candy you have on your shop there.
Well, that's Peter Shank's manifestation program. So that one, you basically turn that on, you focus your attention on some water, and you envision, again, using that wonderful exercise mind that we have, envision the life that you want, what it is you want to manifest. If I want to manifest cash, like literally physical cash, I use that program. It's great. I'll just say, okay, I want $500 in, like I'm running out of cash for groceries.
Yeah.
I want $500 of, cash. And when Source 5 came up, I thought, he was looking for testers and testimonials potentially. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to give it a real good go. So
Yeah.
I charged a bottle of water and I said, okay, let's see, what don't I have normally that's not. I said, well, I'm going to ask for 1,000 because I never get $1,000 in cash like in a week, right? So I'm like, okay, $1,000 this week in cash. And I thought, he's not going to be able to do that. So, but within, I think, 24 hours, two of my patients decided they were going to pay cash. And one said, oh, I'm going to buy a 10-pack. Which was over $1,000 of whatever. So I ended up with $1,400 within 24 hours as using Source 5. I said, okay, I'm buying that, Peter. Thank you so much.
Sold.
So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And since then, I realized, there's other things that I can do without using the program.
Of course.
But I think it's great, for people that can. It's like he says it's sort of like training wheels for our manifestation powers.
It's like tarot cards. People don't need the tarot cards, but it's their process to get them.
Tool.
it's a tool to get them into that state of intention, a power of their intention. I agree 100%
Well,
with you.
also too with our programs, it actually cancels out the doubt.
Yes.
And that's the problem with the, power of intention, is that our conscious minds are intending something, and then the subconscious mind comes in, and all this doubt comes in, and then it messes up the
Absolutely.
manifestation before it's ready to manifest.
It gives you the confidence to have we call it the intention scale. It gives you the confidence to be on a definite because you believe in the science of the machine, whatever it may be doing for you. I agree wholeheartedly. We are on the same sheet of music, and we're running out of time. But Dr. Karen Can, you have to come back again. I tell you, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna just say
Be
you
happy
have
to.
you have to, you have to. All right. You are just amazing, and what work you're doing out there is just it's phenomenal, and it's life changing. You're a paradigm shifter. You really are. You're a paradigm shifter, and I can see how people could anoint you as the anointed one because you definitely are surrounded by folks who are really in your ballpark who are making sure that you're succeeding and helping other people succeed. Now, you're up in Lake Placid, New York, and unfortunately for you there, unfortunately for us, we don't have a Dr. Can here in Georgia. But if you guys want to reach her, you need to go to KarenCan.com. Check out her site. All those items we talked about are all there. Listen, they explain it all too. And then you could check it out. You could go there, and it's amazing what you'll find as well. So, anything else you want to share before we exit here? And I know you have a very busy schedule as a MD, doing a lot of. She's saving she's the galactic warrior.
Yeah, she really is.
We should like get a.
Yeah, I just watched Guardians of the Galaxy last week, and I thought, yay, I'm not green, but I'm just as cool.
Wasn't that movie good?
Actually, I did want to share with everyone who isn't on my mailing list already that I love giving away things. So when you come to my site and you put your name on the mailing list, I'll actually gift you my Clearing and Protection Spray formula. This actually clears ghosts and other entities and creates a force field. You can spray it on yourself and balance your chakras. You can even drink, charged formula, and it's absolutely free. So start with that every single day. You also get 6 of my Fast Track Your Healing webinar classes free, and the first 6 chapters of my Guide to Healing Chronic Pain book free. I like to give lots of ways free. So if you're on my mailing
Yes,
list,
you
you'll get we do healing, free mini healings for people that certainly some people can't afford to do remote sessions with me or be in my classes. So we actually gift free mini healings every single month on my radio show.
Listen, y'all, take advantage of that, all right? Because it's definitely a incredible offering, also incredible services and products. It's amazing. I'm just love staying on there. It's a Willy Wonka holistic factory. I like that. I'm gonna hold on. You can take that, Doc. All right, take that and run with it. Listen, Dr. Can, thank you so much for coming on, and best of your day. And have it unfolding. It's gonna be a perfect day. So, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All right.
Thank you, and keep up the good work. You guys are doing awesome.
All right. Maybe we'll get 100 here soon enough, huh?
Yeah, right.
All right. All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. You all have a great weekend. Today's Friday. Thank God it's Friday.